Hi everyone, it's Dom from the MS Guide. And today we're joined by an incredibly fun and interesting guest. Things I hadn't really thought about we're going to talk about. And his name is Adam Hanmer, and we're going to start that interview right now. Hi Adam, how you doing?
Hey Dom, yeah, good, thanks.
Adam, we've spoken a lot, should we say, offline, but you were telling me you've been diagnosed, I'm not sure if it's secondary or primary progressive, but I know that essentially where you are with your MS, there's not many drug options, and therefore you are doing a lot of different things, which I was hoping you'd tell us about, to really run your life with MS.
Yeah, no, thanks, Dom. So I'm Adam, I'm 45, got 3 girls, married to Fran. We live in Hastings in the UK on the south coast, which is great. We moved quite recently. I got diagnosed with primary progressive MS in 2016. It started in 2010. I think it actually started in 2008. So I actually getting diagnosed was a relief for me because I'd had all these weird things like happening. I'd spent 6 years trying to work out what was going wrong with me. Why are my legs not working? So I finally got the diagnosis. And then, you get a primary progressive diagnosis, and then, the guy goes, just go away and think about it. And you sort of go away, think about it, have a look, and you come back, and I'm like, so what are you going to do for me? And they're like, well, I can give you some steroids. So I had those, didn't sleep very well, didn't really do anything. Yeah, they sort of gave me baclofen, which did nothing. So I was a bit like, well, I'm not really having this. There must be something I can do. And this was actually 2016, so there was no Ocrevus. And then the whole Ocrevus thing was kind of interesting because the plan was it was coming, a first drug for primary progressive. And then it came out in the UK and they're like, we're not giving it to primary progressive. And then, to be fair, some good people kicked up a stink because NICE had basically said that I don't know enough about it, but essentially I think they said it's not worth the money for the benefit. So there wasn't even that option. So I was like, well, there must be something I can do. So I looked at, I went on Mr. Google, and the first place I started was with diet, really. So I found the Wiles protocol and also Dr. Olenek OMS.
For people that don't know, this is Dr. Terry Wiles. She was diagnosed with MS and has developed a whole diet protocol around it. So that's what you're talking about with the Wiles protocol.
So she's written a book. She basically was a doctor, got diagnosed. She went downhill pretty quick. She was in a wheelchair, and she's diagnosed essentially is a diet, but there's kind of loads of other lifestyle stuff. And then there's George Olenek, who's also got a diet protocol. So the difference in them is the Wiles is kind of more paleo, which is kind of more meat. So hers is like meat, no dairy, no gluten, whereas the OMS is no meat, lots of veg, and you can have gluten basically. So, but they're both dairy free.
Yeah, OMS is the George Olenek that you refer to. Some people know it as Overcoming MS, and though I'm not sure. I was speaking to the chief exec of them, and even she knows that overcoming is kind of a misleading word because they are very happy to say they're a lifestyle sort of thing, but nobody cures their MS with a diet. I think that's been accepted that you don't cure your MS with a diet. You help it.
I think this is what I learned because you read the Wiles. I mean, I sort of started with the Wiles protocol because I was like that kind of felt like the way to go for me. And you start and you're like, well, if she's getting herself out of a wheelchair, I'm not even in a wheelchair. I'll be running again. And that obviously didn't happen. But I mean, there's different levels. I mean, I got really into it, so I did it very strictly, and then went right up to sort of the ketogenic diet, which is pretty strict. It's and I think there's some science actually that ketogenic diets are good for MS. I think Dr. Gavin Giovanni, I think we both get his email. I mean, he's written a few recently, and I think there's an argument that ketogenic diets and intermittent fasting have shown some benefit.
Adam, there was a huge MS conference in London yesterday and the day before, and there was a whole presentation on the benefits of by a doctor. It's a medical conference by a doctor on the benefits of intermittent fasting. And frankly, I don't know about you, but I certainly try to do it. But sometimes, like you, I have an active lifestyle, and if I know I'm going to go climbing or running or cycling or whatever it is that you do, I find it very hard to starve myself before that, because if I'm not doing anything today, like now, sitting in a chair, it's nowhere near as difficult.
Yeah, it's hard. And I think I found with keto, I mean, it's high fat as well, which isn't great. You're having a lot of fat. And for me, I just felt underfueled and I didn't feel any benefit. And then I went one step further. So the kind of whole paleo community have got quite into, there's the carnivore diet, which I think to most people, like particularly the vegans, would be like, But I hooked up with a doctor in Hungary called Clement Zofia, and they've developed this, they call it the paleo ketogenic diet. So it's keto with fasting, but it's brutal. You basically, you just eat meat. So you're eating a lot of steak, and which you might think at the beginning is great, but the reality is, I was supposed to be eating 350 grams of protein a day, which that's it. So it was impossible. So I think like my short abridged version of my experience with the diet is I do intermittent fasting, not every day, and which basically means skipping breakfast. And I find for me being gluten-free, dairy-free and low carb is a good way. So when low carb, I basically not loads of sugar basically. But, I will eat cake, the weekend.
You're rude not to.
The girls are baking and stuff. So I think the key thing, and you said at the beginning, is you've got to manage your expectations with this thing. But I think all the things I'm talking about now is giving you marginal gains, and actually if you put them all together, you get a bit more than a marginal gain, and you get a major gain. So that's been my approach. So yeah.
I completely agree, Adam. I mean, I'll just pitch in, because it's, when I was diagnosed, 93, 94, I mean, I really lose track of when, but there was nothing. And there was the Swank diet, which was incredibly low fat, less than 20 grams of fat a day. And I mean, the biggest benefit for me, because I just was like, and stuck to it religiously initially, was I lost a ton of weight because I was quite a chubby boy. So it's that helped in that. But it really makes you kind of dull eating, because frankly, fat is what carries the flavor. And I love eating nice meat that's well marbled on occasion, because
got to have your ribeye.
Yeah, well, quite. But I grabbed my neurologist one day back, in Oxford in the John Radcliffe, and it was Professor Jackie Pallas at the time. And I just said, what is this? What do I do? And she gave me probably the best advice. And this is before diet was really a thing in MS. And she said, Dominic, eat a healthy diet, eat a Mediterranean style diet. And like anything, don't eat too much of one thing and don't eat too much of another. And you will kind of know. And she said, it was essentially a pat on the back. There, stop being so anxious, be sensible. And it was so nice to be given the permission almost to just don't be an idiot. Don't live on McDonald's. Don't eat all steaks. Don't eat all celery. Anything like that's going to drive you down some sort of. And then also these people, I don't know, Adam, if you run into them, they turn into zealots, and then they're really difficult to talk to, some of them.
Yeah, I think there is that. And the other thing I should say is I actually spent quite a lot of money working with a few different people. I worked with this guy, Will Cole, who's kind of one of these influencer doctors who actually Terry Wiles works with and recommends. Spent a lot of money on supplements, on blood tests, followed this whole protocol. Their thing is the gut is key to your health, which I think is true, and there's more coming out on that.
Would you care to put a round number on what a lot is? Because everybody who watches is different.
Yeah, I mean, probably Will Cole, I spent thousands of pounds. Yeah.
You're very fortunate you can afford it. Many people can't.
No, exactly. Chowing down tons of supplements, and it didn't work. I didn't feel any benefit from it. So I think I am big. I think the diet thing is good. It feels like you're in control. And I mean, I like eating healthy. I think the other thing I found, my palate's changed as well, in that I was never a big sweet tooth, but actually now I'm like, 90% chocolates. Perfect. If I have some dairy milk, I'm like, that is disgusting. But
yeah, I know.
You can change. I think you can change sort of to actually really enjoy healthy eating.
You wean. Sugar is my thing. I really try to cut down on sugar. Like you say, if my wife bakes a beautiful cake, it'd be rude not to eat it. I don't want to put 5 minutes on my life for upsetting her grossly, and me, frankly, for not eating this gorgeous looking pudding. But yeah, sugar, and then you bite into something and go, oh, that's sweet. That's disgusting.
I know. And I think that's, the sugar thing's kind of was a problem in our country, I think. But anyway, that's probably another. Yeah.
And I think we benefit here from quite strict food legislation. I mean, in the US, it grabs me if I go there. I mean, I used to go there for work and stuff. The amount of to me, completely needlessly added sugar. And I don't know about you, but I'm a packet reading fiend. My wife hates going shopping with me because everything I need to read the packet, because I look at that and go, palm oil, nope, sugar, nope, and back it goes.
Yeah. There's a really good book, actually, a guy called, I think, Dr. Sunil Pai. It's called The Inflammation Nation, and it basically talks about American diets and just how it's all gone wrong a bit in terms of, their food chain, GMO and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I think we are lucky in this country in terms of, a lot of the meat is grass-fed just anyway. That's the way we do it. I think, there's a big push for regenerational farming, which actually is better for the environment. And I mean, my wife's, I think the other thing is having someone with you on the journey. My wife's really into all this as well. She does the shopping and stuff. So
one does and one doesn't.
Yeah, and we, our kids are pretty healthy. I mean, they're never sick, and I do think, they exercise a lot, but I think diet is a big part of that. So yeah, I think it is a bit of a thorny issue for people and gets people's heckles up. But I've definitely, that first, when I cleaned up my diet, I definitely felt better, like in terms of my MS. And again, it's marginal, but I'll take anything really. So yeah. Yeah, no, I'm lucky. I've got, I still work full time. I think the whole home working things helped me moving to that. I was probably struggling a bit more when I was going in the office.
But I know it's not mindfulness per se, but you were talking to me about, was it meditation or breathing? Or...
Yeah. I think for me, and I think for everyone with MS, the biggest battle is the mental one. Because it's a bit like stress is bad for MS. But I've got a chronic disease. It's stressful. It's like, so what do I do? Yeah, it's an oxymoron straight away, straight off the bat. And, I've had, and for me, like my MS journey sounds a bit X Factor, terrible, but like I had two major stressful instances. Like my first, I split up with my first wife, and I got made redundant and was sort of homeless for a short bit, but obviously went back to my parents, wasn't on the streets. And then when the MS really kicked in was when my first daughter was born. Fran and I were on holiday, and Fran's my second wife, so I turned that around quite quickly. And my first daughter, she was born prematurely in France when we were on holiday, like emergency cesarean section.
That'll get your attention.
Yeah, like, so she was 11 weeks premature. We were in France. It was like, and that's another story, but it was very stressful. Happy ending. She's 11 now. She's brilliant. But they potentially both could have died because my wife had a placental abruption. So major stressful event. Came back from France. My walking, what's going on? My walking, I can't. I was having problems. So that was when my sort of symptoms started. For me, like my main problem is mobility. I'm going to have other issues that probably everyone has.
Really? I had you pegged as a cyclist. Do you just use your regular bike, electric bike? How does it go for you now?
Yeah. So exercise key. So so I've got I had a regular bike. I've got an electric bike now, so I totally recommend to people. I mean, again, they're expensive, but
road bike, mountain bike.
It's a kind of cross.
Okay.
So yeah, so I've basically got suspension on both, which again, my body's a bit creaky, so having that support's good. So yeah, I mean, I love cycling. Cycling's something that I've always been able to do with MS. I mean, I had to stop running like 11 years ago because I couldn't. So yeah, so sport's important, but cycling's really important. And I swim as well. I can swim, but yeah, stuff that I used to love, like cricket, snowboarding, that's all out. But you just have to do what you can do. I mean, I've just discovered a new sport I can play actually called paddle tennis. You heard of paddle tennis?
Is that like real tennis that they play at Eton? Are you betraying your roots now?
Well, it's like smaller court, 2/3 the size, got walls, you play doubles. So basically means you don't really have to move much. So like for me, that I can't move, particularly I can move a little bit, but I can't run. So yeah, I mean, I think, I was talking about stress, but exercise is really important. I think the stress thing is key. I think managing that is important, and you've got to find ways to do that. And I've tried loads of things. So, I mean, I really rate like breath work, doing breathing exercises. Well, it's basically different ways of breathing, which all sounds quite simple, but the one I've sort of been mainly doing is called transformational breath work, which is kind of set up by Judith, I think she's called Judith Kravitz or something. But there's some really nice people called the Big Breath Company in London, and I started with them, and you just turn up and it's just a different way of breathing. But what it does is it's I'm not going to explain it very well, but it seems to unlock trauma that's stuck in the body. And I think this is the key, I find. I think I believe we all have trauma. Well, everyone has trauma, but I believe it gets locked in the body. And if you can somehow release it, it can help your MS. So I did a whole weekend of this breath work, not far from where you are, up in Oxfordshire. And actually, after some of these breath work sessions, I could walk better. I just felt lighter and stuff. So, I mean, again, it's not a cure, but it's definitely a really good place. There's a really good guy who's now on Radio 1 called Stu Sanderson. He's called Breath Pod on Instagram, and he does free breath work every morning. Well, he's not always doing it every morning, but if you go on his Instagram, he's brilliant. If you want a really simple intro to breath work, he's your man.
Everything you mentioned, I will put in links in the description so that you don't have to sit there watching this video going, what on earth did he just mention? Yeah, I'll put it all there. Yeah.
He's a really nice guy. But meditation as well. I mean, I was always a bit anti-meditation, but there's a really good book. I really like Joe Dispensa, this guy. He's an American guy. And he's written a book called, what's it called? I've written it down so I remember it. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Mm-hmm. And he does meditation. He does and I've been on one of his weekends. He was over in Glasgow, and I did a weekend, and it's really powerful. And actually, he does these week-long retreats, which I'm going to try and go on.
Can I add something to the breathing? I'm now going to reach and get something from behind my computer. I use one of these. It's not breath work. It's called the power breathe, because oftentimes, especially with MS, if you're sitting around, I mean, your lungs are controlled by muscles. I mean, that's how they open and close. And it's just a trainer. You pop it in your mouth and you breathe hard, and you can adjust the tension. But
brilliant.
It's with MS. I wouldn't say it gives me that transformational sort of releasing things, but it's just I'm really lazy. It sits there and just gives me the eye saying you're not using me enough. Like many of the home exercise things that we all have. But it's you buy it with the best intentions, but it is good, and you do feel better for having sessions with it, especially if you're feeling a bit subpar. It really helps.
I like to get one. I'm all up for buying and trying stuff.
They're great, and I wish they gave me a commission, but that's the first time I weighed it up.
Yeah, and simple meditation stuff. Headspace. That's a really good entry level thing.
That's an app, isn't it? Headspace app.
Yeah, that's an app. And then the other one that I tried, which is quite interesting, is David Berceli. It's called the Trauma Release Experience. He's got this whole thing like how animals, when they come when the wildebeest nearly gets killed by the lion, but doesn't, he gets off and he shakes, he tremors. His book's really interesting, even if you don't. He's done this with lots of people. Yeah, and it is literally shaking. And it's the only thing I've done, actually. I turned up to do one of these things, and it was all blokes. Normally, it's generally women doing these things. And I found it quite hard to do. I didn't really get it for me, but the book's interesting, and it might be useful for some people. So, yeah, I think just having some way to kind of zen out a bit, I think when you've got MS and just get used to another place is really important, because it's just hard.
I think, Adam, what you're saying is essentially, to me, what I'm hearing, put it that way, is that there's many, many different ways to cut this cake, but it is a crappy cake. It's not a nice one that's been baked on the week. It's a crappy cake that we've had put in front of us, and it's trying to navigate your way through. And I always say the first year you can be completely off the rails, because why not?
Yeah.
You've had your life turned on its head. But then when you're looking for ways to deal with it,
yeah,
whether it's breath work, whether it's diet, I mean, essentially, this all comes down to you are also taking control. You are intervening and doing something positive for yourself. You're not just sitting back saying, "Take me, MS," which is, I don't know. For me, it feels like giving up, and I'm not one to give up.
Yeah.
I'm going to die fighting, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
and there's different ways of doing it.
I'm totally the same. It's all about mindset, and I'd much rather be doing something and it not working than just kind of, I guess, rolling with the punches, which you have to do as well, for sure. But yeah, I mean, I think. I mean, on the exercise side, I just say, like, I find stretching, I just kind of stretch every morning now. I've made myself do that because I don't know if your body's as creaky as mine, but like...
mate, I'm 52. I sound like a beaten up pensioner when I get out of bed, it's just, but you're right, stretching. I mean, I have to touch my toes. It just helps release my lower back and my hamstrings. And even if I do that in the shower, it's that kind of thing. But I climb a lot, and I say to my friends, "Off you go. I'll be with you in 10 minutes." And I'm the guy in the corner of the climbing gym doing effectively what looks like yoga, because A, it helps stop me getting injured, and B, I can't bloody move and climb properly if I'm all seized up, and it's really subtle, and then you realize that I've tried it with and without, I climb. I mean, with, I climb so much better. So it's just, and climbing is what I want to do. Climbing also means like breath work or cycling, whatever. I don't think about my MS, because you think about your MS every 5 bloody seconds if you're not doing something else. And whether it's climbing or cycling or whatever, or walking for me, because I envy you with the ball sports, because my eyes can't track really fast moving objects. Again, we get clues about our MS that we don't realize until we look back. I suddenly became really bad at ball sports. My dad would play me at squash and give me an 8-0 head start, and then still beat me, because when he walloped it, it would just go screaming by, and I'd be going, "Oh, the ball," and but not realizing, why would you?
Yeah. No, I think no, I mean, I guess I'm lucky with that, and I think, like, on the stretching side, I mean, again, all this stuff I've talked about, I'm probably not doing it all the time. Stuff I've tried or come in and out of, but yoga in the past I've done, Pilates I've done. It was actually my Pilates instructor that diagnosed me with MS, or diagnosed me with a neurological condition. He was the one that got it, so I'm forever grateful for him for actually getting me there. And then
kicking you in the backside and saying, "Adam, you really need to deal with this. There's an issue."
No, just he worked out that I couldn't do that with my leg. But he said that's a neurological problem, and no one had got it. And then I went to see a physio at King's, and then I saw a neurologist, MRI, blah, 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 worked out.
Yeah, so it's that sort of slope. We all get into that funnel, don't we, at some point, where it's like, here, lie here, you're going into the MRI machine.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you have the guess what conversation. Hey, Adam, look, we could talk about this for ages, but I also know that people are terrible at watching long videos. I can't blame them. So it's.
I just want to finish with 3 things.
Okay.
Because I mean, I've pretty much covered my list, but I mean, I think the one thing that has been actually, I would say, game changer for me recently is low dose naltrexone. I've started that. It's helped my mobility. It's helped my gut function, which I've always had problems with, being constipated, basically.
Can you explain what naltrexone is when you say low dose? So that's obviously lower than the regular dose.
Yeah.
I mean, for many people, it's the first time they heard of this.
Yeah. So naltrexone they give to heroin addicts and alcoholics, basically, in high doses to kind of get them off their fix. Right. Someone's worked out, literally in low doses, it can help autoimmune disease. So,
well, like 1/10 of it, 1/50 of it. You know, I mean, is it like super low dose?
Yeah, it's literally like I have like 5 drops.
Right.
And that sorted out my gut function in a week, and I've had problems for 12 years.
Right.
So that alone, and it's helped my mobility.
Can I argue that being constipated is partly from eating that much meat? I'm pulling your leg. Yeah. I mean,
yeah. No,
how does somebody get low dose naltrexone?
Well, you have to go to a private doctor. So again, I work with Harpal Baines. There's a few people in the UK that do it. You have to have a consultation and then you have to pay for it, basically. But it's not terrible. It's about 25 quid or something a go. So it's not a huge amount of money.
And is that a month?
Yeah, that lasts about 6 weeks, actually. The other thing I've started taking through this private doctor is testosterone, which has given me a boost. My testosterone was 0. I didn't realize. Right. So that's helped me. And then the final thing that really helped was seeing this special chiropractor and having my Atlas orthogonal done, which is a certain procedure. I'd say read about that in the blog. Again, there's a cost to that, but that helped my foot drop. So, that's something that if people have the resources, he's amazing, this guy. He's in Shropshire. I would recommend seeing him.
Again, I'll put it all in the links. And folks, you're in for a long list of links, because I'm going to say to Adam after the video, I need everything that you mentioned. But you're an organized guy, so I'm sure I'm going to get it. But hey, Adam, I really appreciate you coming on the MS Guide and sharing some of the things that have worked for you, because I think MS is crappy. We all need to find our way through it. But I was so impressed when I first spoke to you about essentially all the different things you're doing to try and take control and run your life instead of letting MS run your life. So I appreciate your time, Adam. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Well, it's been great to share this. And yeah, I mean, I just, it's worth trying. The things you can do. Yeah, I think it's hope. We all need hope, don't we? And I think that's what keeps me going, is trying things, even if they're not working. And, all these things won't work for everyone and haven't worked for me. But, the things that do, you suddenly get a real lift. You're like, whoa, I feel a little better. And I have got better. My walking has got better in the last 2 years. So, there is, you can improve.
Exactly. And I think hope is an excellent way to end this. So it's, you want to keep hope. I think if you give up hope, then you might as well just, be like a lemming, run off the edge of a cliff. But let's not do that, anybody. So Adam, take care, and we'll speak to you soon. Cheers.
Cheers, Don. Thanks. Everyone.
Bye-bye.